I'm Patricia, and this is Investigating Vegan Life with Patricia Kathleen. This series features interviews and conversations I conduct with experts from food and fashion to tech and agriculture, from medicine and science to health and humanitarian arenas. Our inquiry is an effort to examine the variety of industries and lifestyle tenets in the world of vegan life. To that end, we will cover topics that have revealed themselves as common and integral when exploring veganism. The dialogue captured here is part of our ongoing effort to host transparent and honest rhetoric for those of you who, like myself, find great value in hearing the expertise and opinions of individuals who have dedicated their work and lives to their ideals. You can find information about myself and my podcast at Patricia Kathleen. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. This is your host, Patricia, and I am sitting down today with Monica Victoria. Monica is a plant-based nutritionist, vegan chef, and a wellness coach. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you as well. So really quickly, I'm going to read a quick bio on Monica, but before I do that, for everyone listening and watching the vodcast or the podcast today, a quick roadmap of what we're going to discuss today is we're going to get into a brief history of Monica as it pertains to her plant-based and vegan journey. And then we'll look at unpacking Monica Victoria's brand, her website, her Instagram. I know there's a lot of information spread across her Instagram site. And then we'll get into the ethos of her plant-based endeavors. So she does a lot of coaching, a lot of recipes, and we'll kind of climb through some of that, as well as motivations and lifestyles that she has and interactions she has with clients during that. And then we'll also get into how her business and professional history, what they're looking towards in the future, especially given the current cultural and economic climate that we're all faced in with the pandemic of the COVID virus. And then we'll look towards, wrap everything up with future endeavors that Monica thinks she's looking towards, as well as any goals or plans that she has. Before we get into all of that, a quick bio on Monica. Monica Victoria is a plant-based nutritionist, vegan chef, personal trainer, wellness educator, devout yogi, and fitness enthusiast. Her focus is guiding people into a state of alkalinity via living foods, along with a complete mind-body lifestyle overhaul. By introducing a plant-based diet, she enhances internal organ health, outward physical appearance, daily thoughts, self-confidence, and cognitive reasoning. With an emphasis on disease prevention via plant foods and cardiovascular health, Monica guides her clients to live an empowered life. Learning that nutrient-dense plant food is mind-body fuel, that fitness is a reward, and the ultimate form of self-love. Her approach to life is one of no excuses, doing, not trying, and never being prisoner to past traumas, but becoming stronger because of them. So Monica, I'm so excited to climb into everything that you are doing right now. But before we do that, I'm hoping you can paint us a brief history regarding your educational or academic background, and then your early professional life as it pertains to like your vegan and plant-based empire.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah.
When you hear about yourself like that, you kind of go, oh, well, those are all the things I do.
Yeah.
So thank you. Well, education-wise, I got certified through Colin T. Campbell's program as a certified plant-based nutritionist. So I did that online course. But I would say that most of my education is all research that I've done that I continue to do daily, over the past 2 decades, basically.
Yeah.
And it actually all kicked off for me by reading the book Skinny Bitch, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And I respond very well to black and white information. I don't like things to be sort of, sugar-coated. And it was just so raw and real and straight to the point that it clicked with me and I became vegan overnight. I've always literally always been vegetarian naturally, because since I was a child, I have always been very connected to animals, to the physical world. I've just been very in tune with the universe, and I never even enjoyed animal products. Okay. And I grew up in Spain. I'm Spanish Italian. My mother's the Italian, my father's a Spaniard.
Yeah.
But so, obviously Mediterranean cuisine is primarily plant-based, but they do have, you know, a large focus on, especially like on pork products, for
Yeah.
example. But I never liked them. Ice cream, I never liked. Dairy never settled well with me. And luckily for me, like my mom cooked everything. So I was raised on very good nutrient dense food. And there wasn't that many, we didn't have like animal products at our dinner table every day. Like I think a lot of people feel, oh, if I don't have a piece of chicken or a piece of meat or whatever on my dinner plate, then I don't have a complete meal, correct? It's
Right.
been the, you know, of course, perpetuated by the meat and dairy industry that to have a complete meal, you have to have animal protein in order to get your protein, et cetera. But we'll talk about that like further into the podcast.
Yeah.
My point is for all this information is that I was already an environmentalist. I was already very involved with animal welfare. And so if you are an environmentalist and you are an animal rights advocate, or you want to protect animals, whether it's dogs, cats, horses, rhinos, and you're not vegan, you are contradicting your beliefs, because you cannot be an environmentalist or an animal rights like advocate if you're still eating them.
Right.
So, you know, there is for me no other way to be if you are, you know, conscious of animal welfare and environmental welfare and human rights. So all of
Right.
that came together for me once I read that book, because there's just no way. And also I'm not a speciesist and I don't believe in dominion. So like, I don't believe that my life as a human being is worth more than that of a female cow, for example. So I, as a female especially, do not condone or could be a part of the dairy industry that keeps basically female cows institutionalized and slave labor, basically forced pregnancy over and over and over in order for them to, you know, lactate and then to steal their milk. Then they take the baby cow. We all know what happens. So
Right.
all of this just resonated very deeply with me. And because of that, I've been vegan for 15 years. And that's what has taken me to where I am today.
It's amazing history. You know, we were talking
Yeah.
off the record before we started recording, and I always feel like I've got a pretty good handle on it. You know, being about 6 years in myself, and I speak with someone like you who's had this 15-year plus, you know, relationship and history and lifestyle as a vegan, and I'm like, but there's so much more to go. You know, because I
Yeah.
was explaining that my life changes yearly. You know, that my relationship with it, I always think that it's well thought and calm, but it becomes even more calm, and the consistency in which it makes sense with everything peaceful and wonderful in the world is always, you know, being reaffirmed. I'm wondering if we can kind of unpack a little bit about what you're doing. And I know that your website, so for everyone listening, it's monicavictoria.com. And I know, like a lot of us right now, we're doing a lot of work on our web backends and things like that. But you're online, and for people who
Yeah.
want to, it's there. And then you also have your Instagram is at Monica Victoria.
Yeah. One
And,
word, first and
yep.
middle name.
And you're also on Snapchat for anyone who's interested with at the Vegan Siren. But your main platform is at Monica Victoria on Instagram. So I kind of want
Yeah.
to touch on too. I know that your website is a work of progress right now. However, I want to get into some aspects on it. You offer a lot of different ideas about what your brand and who you are is as a coach, as a speaker, and you talk about recipes and resources and things like that. Can you kind of describe what you're working on, or who in the past you've worked with, who have been your clients, and what you're looking at doing kind of with this entire vegan enterprise of yours?
Mm-hmm. So I basically use myself as a model, if you will, for how, you know, living plant-based is an investment long-term in yourself. And it's the ultimate form of disease prevention, longevity, and anti-aging. Because especially for women, I think the number one concern is their physical appearance, right? Where I live, especially in Newport Beach, I mean, the whole emphasis is on the way people look, right? They're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on external treatments, but they're not focusing on their internal organ health, which is what dictates the external appearance, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way your skin looks, the quality, the texture of the skin, hair, the maintenance that you have to do on yourself. And the solutions are very simple once you get into a rhythm with your what you put into your body physically. It's really not what you're putting on top, like the topical stuff. It's more the internal organ focus. So that's what I do with the people that I work with. I try to get them to realize that no amount of money that they spend on external is ever going to replace what they put into their body. I mean, there are women who are obsessed with their external appearance. So they'll spend thousands of dollars on hair, nails, makeup, skincare products, treatments, lipo, this, that, whatever. But they're eating Del Taco 3 times a day. I'm being dead serious right now. Like, I know people who actually do this. It's wild to believe, but they're obsessed with the way they look.
Yeah.
So, I understand that veganism as a lifestyle is really almost impossible for a lot of people to believe that it's something that they could achieve. So what I try to do is I go to it from a person's like sweet spot, right? So whatever it is that they're really focused on enhancing, we start there and we start from the inside out, literally. And that's what I do with my clients. And it's really fascinating because you talked about how your journey as a vegan, like how you're always changing, right? Mm-hmm. How it's shifting. And I think when you first go vegan and you're inundated with, the documentaries and the information, and you see how much cruelty is out there and how unbalanced the world is and how so many people are suffering, not just animals, but human beings, the humans that are doing the actual slaughter jobs, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people don't talk about enough in the vegan movement, because unfortunately, a lot of people do not connect to animal welfare, but they do connect to human beings being used basically as slave labor. Because let's be serious, the people that are doing the jobs, these horrible jobs, they're not people like you and I who have the ability and the access to do better things with our life. It's people that are typically on the poverty line or that are illegal immigrants, et cetera, that have no other option and that are basically forced into these jobs because they literally cannot do anything else. Right. So they're put into these positions, forced basically, and have to commit basically murder every day. And then they take that horrible negative energy and it gets redistributed amongst their community. Right.
Well,
so
I want to kind of differentiate here really quickly, because you are touching on a point that when I speak with so vegans or plant-based people, this has become a really divisive and interesting
I'm really glad you brought this up
within the community, because I noticed that you use both terms. You talk about being a plant-based nutritionist and also a vegan, lifestyle coach and things of that nature. But I'm curious for you yourself personally, how you differentiate, what you find to be the differences between the terms, and how you think that there's like a dialogue happening on the social platform, and how you think that's playing out.
Well, so someone like myself can call herself vegan because I've been living like this for almost 2 decades, right? I'm heavily involved with activism, and my whole approach to life in general comes from the vegan perspective of equality, non-dominion, peace, and to cause non-harming, right? So that's my whole goal in life. For people who are in the, plant-based movement, if you want to call it that, it's awesome because you're focused on the nutrition aspect, right? So not consuming acidic, dead foods, which are all animal products and all processed, man-made products. Why do I call myself a plant-based nutritionist? Because, plant foods are what provide the best nutrition, right? I don't want to call myself a vegan nutritionist because veganism is a way of life. Plant-based is what we put into our body. Like, it's the nutrition aspect, correct? Yeah. So I am a vegan and I do encourage a vegan lifestyle, but veganism as a way of living encompasses literally all aspects of your life, all your choices, the brands you support, where you shop, the things you buy. It's looking at things from a much bigger perspective, going deeper into the back end of everyday products and being conscious of what you do on this earth, the effect that it has on other living beings, the environment, and knowing that just because like I live in Newport Beach doesn't mean I'm not connected to what's happening in Africa, for example. Everything's connected. And look at us now, right? Like the state of the world. If it's ever proven more true that we are all connected, it's now. Everything, every single action we do. has
Well,
consequences.
and I wonder, I mean, and I know a majority, a great deal anyway, of vegans that ascribe to what you're saying, which is, you know, the title vegan is implies a lifestyle and a way of living, not just a
Yes.
dietary needs. However, there's been some pushback because, and I'm not sure where the argument will ever end up, but
Right.
people, products in particular, so
Yeah.
mass produced products are attaching to plant-based the way that people attach to, you know, fortified with vitamins and minerals. Like they just
Okay.
started to say everything was plant-based and it wasn't vegan. And so a lot of vegans are going into and finding, you know, all of these products that have this label of plant-based on them
Uh-huh.
because there's some kind of plant-based nutrient to them,
Yeah.
but that it's not necessarily vegan. You know, it'll have egg yolk or something like that. And so there's been some pushback in that, like, everyone started to attach health and wellness to plant-based like they did with sugar-free in the 80s.
Hmm.
You know, it was this hype like, oh, it's going to be healthy if it says plant-based. And so I know there's been some pushback with people saying like the vegan certified seal and things like
Right.
that,
I
that
think
like,
that plant-based is a slippery slope because
mhm,
there's a lot of people who consider themselves plant-based the majority of the time, but they'll still slip in some fish or some eggs every now and then. But
right.
they're majority plant-based. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, plant-based is just that, plant-based. Their base is plants, not excluding potentially other products that don't fall under the vegan category, right? So
Yeah.
here's a perfect example. Um, if someone says, "Oh, I used to be vegan and I'm not anymore," there is no way you were ever vegan, because one, if you're vegan, you are vegan for life. You are in this because you realize that your impact on this earth is less, like, you don't cause as big of a detriment as a vegan, right?
Hmm.
Um, your footprint in every way is lessened when you are committed to a vegan lifestyle. There's no way that my belief system is going to go out the window because one day I wake up, which I never would, and I'm craving a hamburger, right? That's never going to happen if you're
Right.
a true vegan. If someone says, "Oh my God, I like went vegan for 2 weeks." No, you didn't. You were eating plant-based for 2 weeks. Do you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Sure.
Like,
Sure. Yeah.
so those
It was
are
a
those
quick
things.
diet. Yeah.
Like, I get that like the word vegan is trendy right now, right? People are embracing it, which I think is amazing. I mean, anything that we can do in order to further, right, the awareness and the information and everything that goes along with veganism, plant-based, is wonderful. But for the pushback that you're talking about, it's exactly that.
Right.
The crossover and the loose. I think a lot of people, the purists, for example, like myself, when we see brands profiting off of labels like vegan or plant-based and they're not, that is infuriating.
Absolutely. And it's
Mhm.
also, it's misleading. So maybe it's a
It's
need for
misleading.
clarification. I like
Absolutely.
defining terms and I like opportunities to go back in and redefine. And I'm hoping that this is actually one of them for the food industries. I
Right.
want to turn towards something you alluded towards when I asked you how you pitched, you know, plant-based and vegan lifestyles to your
Mhm.
clients. And you said that you kind of got into what they were into. You found their weak spot and pushed.
Yeah.
And that was fascinating to me because first of all, I think it's the best angle to come at
Hmm.
anyone on a sales pitch for health or for wellness of anything, finding out what matters to them and really coming home with that, be it
Absolutely.
looking beautiful or fighting off cancer. But
Yeah.
I want to turn that towards, I think
Which you
that
can do
there's
both.
yeah, exactly. I usually do both. I want to turn that into this perception of it unifying. You know, you have this idea that whatever is ailing someone or whatever, it unifies all of us. And given the pandemic right now of
Yeah.
COVID-19 and what we're all dealing with, you know, it came from, well, right now at least it's believed, I want to put that out there, hypothetically right now it is believed that the virus jumped species in a wet market in China. And a wet market is based on the sale and consumption of mammals, reptiles, fish, and all of that. And I'm wondering, I don't think that there was a lot of unification across countries, you know, and I've globetrotted quite a bit and I've spoken with vegans all over the world,
Hmm.
and different communities have different objections or ways that they're coming at the lifestyle. But it feels like the pandemic reality of this and where it was born from, you know, these kinds of like animal eating systems and markets has unified us, at least in this rhetoric of like, we need to start considering like these types of things becoming issues for people who are like, I would never eat plant-based, I would never be vegan. Like, well, you might if it would keep your great-grandchildren from dying. You
Mhm.
know, like these ideas of pandemics and things that no longer are born out of your cholesterol or blood pressure or things that people stay away
So,
from meat
yeah,
for.
I have several thoughts on this.
Okay.
One, the most valid theory as to how COVID was born is, which I believe this to be completely accurate, that it was actually a man-made disease, okay,
Oh,
that was being researched in a lab. I'm not going to get into the backgrounds of it, but it was happening in Wuhan, China. And one of the menial workers connected to this study, which was being conducted on animals, of course, because it's China,
mhm.
took these animals that were infected with this disease to a wet market where they were slaughtered live, and their blood was spilled and exposed everywhere. Then that animal meat is consumed by a myriad of Chinese people. They get it, they start spreading it, and here we are today. So
Right.
that is what happened. That is the most like accurate, authentic, what I believe to be accurate, just thesis of how we are to where we are today. It makes total sense because real zoonotic diseases are they happen all the time. I mean, look at SARS, look
Mhm.
at all the ones that have been happening over the past several years. But this one specifically, its contagiousness is on a whole other level, right?
Sure. Sure.
How did we get to a contagion level of this degree when there have been zoonotic diseases for centuries, basically?
Mhm.
So that's why I have the connection to there is, in my opinion, some sort of man-made alternate, something involved with science in a very sick way that has got us to where we are today. That's one. Two, there are so many people that are horrified by wet markets, which of course we are. It's the gnarliest level of inhumane, subhuman evil ever on this earth, right? They're
Mhm.
eating pangolins, they're eating bats, they're eating literally cubs of koalas. Like the animals that are there, I don't even have words, right? But what drives me absolutely insane is that everyone in like all the Western cultures that are freaking out over this will sit down for dinner and eat chicken or beef.
Right.
What is the difference? Animals are getting slaughtered, literally hundreds of billions of them every year.
Right. Well, and so that's my question. I'm wondering
It's,
if now with this kind of very real, like I don't think that those kinds of things penetrate. I think the emotional attachment to food is that of
oh my God,
a drug. It's the most powerful drug, the most powerful medicine I think on earth.
1000%. Yeah.
And so I think that people can say they're opposed to cruelty or they're opposed to eating certain animals and then consume another because of
Mhm.
the crazy drug-like effect that food has on people.
Right.
However, I'm
And
wondering
also
now.
because it's normalized. There's not stigma. Well, there is more now, but there's not as much stigma attached to eating chicken. Like there's no attachment. There's no correlation with the actual life of a chicken versus that of a koala, for example, right?
Right.
They place more value on a koala's life than they do on a chicken because, oh my God, there's like billions of chickens. Who cares?
But do you
This is
think
what
that
people
that
say to me.
value will change now that they have, there's a
I'm
repercussion now, there's
I'm
something,
hoping, I'm
there's like, we're
hoping
all
that it
quarantined in our houses globally
right.
because of, of the consumption of animals. And so when you have enough things like this start to hit home, I'm wondering if you think that there will be some kind of light bulb that goes on, at least with clients that you work
I
with, or
think
people at
that
large.
like for someone like me who is a very vocal about this and constantly trying to get people to make the connection, to not be hypocrites and not, again, speciesism. It's rampant, right? We shouldn't, I always say, and it's like one of my taglines, you cannot love animals and eat them too. You can't. You can't love one but not the other. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
There has to be equality across the board if you're going to say that you love animals. It just doesn't translate properly. So what, of course, one of the good things, if you want to call it that, that's come out of this entire pandemic is that the sales of plant-based products, vegan products, have gone up like 600%,
Right.
and people wanting to adapt a plant-based lifestyle has exploded. I mean, just in my business alone, you know, because I do meal prep deliveries and I, you know, I cook in people, well, I'm not cooking in people's homes now, but I am delivering more food than I ever have because, you know, people are worried, they're concerned, they're fearful of, you know, putting the wrong things into their body and potentially having detrimental side effects. And immunity is the biggest factor in all of this.
Right.
80% of our immunity lies in our gut. And that's something that you work on every day, pandemic or not. It doesn't matter. Like what I keep telling people is, look, for example, the way I've been living for 15 years, when some crazy shit like this happens, I'm ready, baby. Like
Right.
my immunity defense system is like the US military living inside of my gut. It's ready. It's armed. It's like boom, boom, boom. Throw whatever you want at me. Obviously, I would never put myself into a situation where I could actually, you know, be exposed to it. But the reality is, for someone like myself, the risk of me contracting it is so low because my immunity defense is so high. Why wouldn't everybody want to be in this, living in this kind of environment?
Right.
Why wouldn't everybody want to be always prepared? That's why I always say it's never too late to start, but the sooner you do, the better, because you're prepared for anything that comes at you.
I'm
Organ
curious,
health.
given your family's history too, and I will say I just got done a couple of weeks ago globetrotting, and so I love finding out different people's impressions. But because you come from, you know, a non-USA based family, when
Mhm.
you talk to them about veganism, do you get different kinds of pushback that you get from people who aren't vegan in the United States? And do you have family members that aren't vegan that you're able to kind of exchange information with?
Well, my entire extended family lives in Europe. Like everybody, my father's side, they all live in Spain. My mother's side, they all live in Italy. And we have family in the United Kingdom, in London, which is where I was born. So I'm British by birth, Spanish, Italian by blood, and American by residency. Okay.
Nice. Perfect.
So, it's interesting when I first went vegan 15 years ago, of course it was, yeah. I mean, I had extended family members that would send me the stupidest shit you've ever seen on Facebook and, you know, just ignorance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Right.
also it's what's scary about veganism to people is you're making them question their entire existence. You're making them question everything they've
Sure.
ever eaten in their entire life.
Yeah.
It makes people be like, wait, you're telling me my culture is wrong? You're telling me what my dad fed me, what my mom and dad gave me, like what raised me on is wrong? Like you're telling me that, you know, there's cruelty. It just raises all of these very deep rooted and implanted structural ideas that you've inherited basically from birth. You know, the psychology of food, as you mentioned earlier, is the biggest barrier and the thickest layer to navigate through when you're just trying to bring people information. And what I always say is, when you do things that make you better, that make your health better, it has nothing to do with your family. It has
Right.
nothing to do with anybody but yourself. You putting yourself first and having non-attachment to the past. Because realistically, any culture, any way of whatever their interpretation is of, like, you know, their history or their family or whatever, all those recipes can be tweaked and be made plant-based and be made healthy. You can still have everything you've ever wanted. You're just removing a couple of things that don't serve you.
Right.
So have I had pushback? I mean, yeah, of course. I'll never forget, like, especially in the beginning, before veganism was so widely accepted. And I always like to say, like, I've been vegan before it was trendy, right? Before it was cool. Like, this is just who I am. I've always been enlightened. But I have specific memories of people who did not want me going to dinners with them because my presence as a vegan made them uncomfortable. And I always say it has
Right.
nothing to do with me. I am merely a representation of, like, who I am. I am my authentic self, right?
Mhm.
I have no fear. I'm not out here to, like, make you uncomfortable. I'm just living my truth. If I make you uncomfortable, that's because you are literally at war with your subconscious and trying to, like, make what you're doing, your decisions, okay in your own head.
Yeah.
For people who literally do not give an F and that I'm there, they'll eat a fucking steak in front of me. They don't care.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I'm
but
saying?
those people are few and far between. I will say
But I'll
the
tell you what,
discomfort
they do
level.
exist. They do exist.
Yeah.
And if that's where they're at and that's what makes them, like, feel triumphant, I say good for you. You know what I mean? It doesn't affect me. Maybe 15 years ago it was, because when you first go into the movement, you see things and you're like, but do you realize, like, what you're eating and what you're doing and where it came from? Now I'm like, so logical and so rational. And I realized that the best way for me to lead is by example and by educating, not by force. That's why I don't push veganism on people. I just encourage them to consume more plant-based foods that make them feel better, make them look better, because eventually they teeter off naturally the animal-based products. It's just the best way to do it.
I think the greatest, everyone always talks about the greatest converters to veganism. I'm like, education.
Absolutely.
All you
but
have
it's
to
also
do
leading
is
by
study
example. It's like who you are, like your energy, like what you bring. People always say to me, like the number one comment is, you have so much energy. It's like crazy. And I'm like, yeah, because my body is like so hydrated and so mineralized because I only eat fiber rich foods, which by the way, everybody's always like protein, protein, protein. It's actually not about protein. It's about fiber. Fiber is what keeps our body hydrated. It heals the organs. It recuperates, like, illness, disease. It prevents disease. So, and also there's protein in like literally every
vegetable,
living.
everything that you eat. Like
I always say,
yeah.
If you think you're getting protein from eating beef, what do you think the cow ate in order to become protein? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and everything that you find protein in as a vegetable usually has a significant amount of fiber. So they're hand in hand in the
yes, that's why I say, like, eat as much
Yeah.
fiber as you want, because you're getting a ton of protein, it comes with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I always like to say the side effects of living a plant-based lifestyle are amazing. I am 41 years old. I have never colored my hair in my life. This is my real color. This is my, like, how long and healthy my hair is. I do nothing. I don't get any kind of fillers, any kind of injectables. I don't do any of that shit. I just eat for beauty. That's what I always say. Eat, eat, eat. Eat as much as you want. It's not about calories. It's not about carbs. It's not about any of this nonsense. It's just eating living foods and being creative with them and being happy and getting out there and being in nature, getting sunlight. And the crazy thing about this whole COVID experience is people are actually reconnecting to Mother Earth.
Yeah.
I live at the beach. You live at the beach. You know how it is. We have neighbors that literally never go out on their front deck or walk down to the ocean. Seeing people reconnecting to nature has been, for me, the most beautiful part of this entire experience. Seeing that, like, people don't need to spend so much time in front of a screen or on their phone or just like busy doing what? What the fuck are you so busy doing all the time that you can't get out in nature and just like embrace the natural world, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It
and
all
when you
goes
do
hand in
that,
hand.
you can see everything that you need to be eating because it's out there in nature.
Yes.
It's in the ground.
I tell people a lot of time, you're better off eating that dirt than you are eating, that prepackaged, disgusting slab of ground beef that has all these chemicals added to it. And that's a whole other layer. Is it's like, when you're eating animal products, it's rotting flesh, literally, wrapped in a plastic bag. What do you think they're putting into that rotting flesh in order to preserve it?
Yeah. Or to make it pretty, like pretty pink, nice colors,
chemicals and all kinds of, and the whole free range, organic, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's dead, rotting flesh that goes into your body. It's acidic, and it's the root of all disease. Simply.
Well, to wrap everything up, because you and I have something in common that I just discovered in our pre-podcast talk, but I want you to kind of speak towards, you have a little guest behind you as my guest on the couch, and he has a history. So,
hi, baby, Magoo.
Mr. Magoo, and he is how old again?
He's 12.
He's 12 years old. He's so spry for an English bulldog at 12. I just can't believe it. I'm a huge dog lover, and they don't usually live that long. Can you speak to, is he vegan?
So he was raised primarily vegetarian his entire life. Mm-hmm. And in his old age, in like, I would say the past 6 months, he basically like stopped eating. He like wouldn't eat. It was driving me insane. So I actually went to Just Food for Dogs, and not that I'm plugging them or whatever, but I do think they're good. And I got him the fish and vegetable recipe, and so I add that in with his vegan kibble, and he's eating again. So I mean, I would never be able to feed him turkey or beef or anything like that. Not that I'm okay with fish necessarily, but that is what he's on right now. To be completely transparent, he was raised primarily vegan, but when I'm telling you that I could not get him to eat a bowl of food for months, I had to do something that I felt was the most closest to, and that's what worked for me in this past, past few months. So that's where he's at.
Well,
But
it seems like his
his
lifestyle's
quality. Oh no, he's amazing. I mean, he's going to be 13 in June, and actually, excuse me, July. And he works out with me every single day. We play basketball. I mean, if we did another Zoom meeting outdoors, I could show you the way he plays basketball every single day. He balances on the ball. He's crazy. He can keep up with me. I mean, I have a 15-pound medicine ball that I use to work out when I do my outdoor workouts. He moves the 15-pound medicine ball around. It's crazy.
That's fantastic.
But I also
love it.
attribute that to, like, again, going back to, let's not just talk about nutrition, quality of life, being exposed to the natural elements, being in the sun, being at the beach, being in the grass, being in the earth. That has contributed so much to his quality of life, because we, are so blessed to live at the beach. He's been swimming in the ocean his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
He's been exposed to the natural elements. He has been with me. Like, you transfer your energy onto your pet, right?
Yeah.
Your pet becomes like your mirror image. I always say this. And also something to think about is your energy, your light, and your personal satisfaction with self, that attracts people, right? That energy, people I'm sure it happens to you. People are drawn to you. They just want to talk to you. They want to hear what you have to say. For me, it happens every single day. I mean, I have run-ins and conversations with people, obviously pre-COVID, when, you could sit outside at a cafe and just have conversation with the person sitting at the table next to you, and conversations come up. And I always say, like, for some reason, the universe always places me where I need to be. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've overheard a conversation where people were discussing food and food issues, or issues that they're having. And I just, like, couldn't resist, and I'll chime in and I'll give them just 5 minutes of information, and it will change their life.
Yeah. Well, let's speak to that. I want to get into that before we leave. I want to have you kind of speak to who should be reaching out to you. Who are you interested in working with, and helping? Like, your ideal client sounds like it could be just about anybody who wants to make a change, either for health or beauty or wellness.
Yeah. I mean, my purpose on this earth is to infuse people with the confidence and belief system that they deserve to eat and live a better life. And this crosses over all socioeconomic platforms. It doesn't matter if you're extremely wealthy or if you're, barely making it. I see the same food issues because I work with very high net worth clientele. And then my doors are open to everyone, right? Nice. Of course I have to make a living, but, like, my main purpose in life is not money driven. I really want to reach as many people as I can, because I truly believe that when you are living your truth and you are committed to what it is that your legacy is to be, everything that's supposed to happen to you, the rewards financially, et cetera, will come at their pace. So who do I want to work with? Anybody that wants to stop living in a poverty mentality. Yeah. In the mentality of, this deep subconscious level where people will continue to put bad foods into their body because on a deep subconscious level, they don't believe they're worthy of better. And I see this, like I told you, with people that live in $20 million homes in Newport Coast. Like, it doesn't matter what you're worth, your net worth. It's about what you feel you're worth inside. Mm-hmm. So removing that barrier and getting people to believe that doesn't matter what they were exposed to growing up, their traumas, anything that they've like experienced in their life, when they simplify their food and their environment, it radically changes who you are from a deep core level, because it traces into your mind. The mind-gut connection is everything. Right. Everything that we put into our body is entering into our brain. I am always positive. How could I not be? I don't have any negativity living in my body. Yeah. I don't have dead animals living inside of me. I don't have corpses floating around and they're rotting inside of my fucking gut. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. And I think sharing that with people, it becomes self-evident pretty quickly. Yeah. Being able to. It does. And everybody, it's crazy because I talk to people, I even talk to kids, like, cause I work with families too. And children are hungry for knowledge. Right. They are. When you simply pick up something and you're like, hey, you see this? Do you see these ingredients on the back, pretending this is like a processed box or whatever. And I'm like, can you read any of these things? And they'll like look at like dioxy, and all these like horrible, like chemically, unpronounceable words. And they're like, they're like, do you know what that is? No, I don't know what it is. Do you think you should be eating it? And they're like, no. And it clicks for them.
Yeah.
And I teach them how to make smoothies with bananas and mangoes and spinach and berries and almond butter. And they're excited.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, like, it brings families together too. Spend time with your kids, cook with them, encourage them to eat fruits and vegetables. It's not a punishment. It's actually a gift, you know? Absolutely. And for females, because at the end of the day, like moms mostly are the ones, the heart of the home, right? They have to lead. So we have to encourage people, male and female, to be leaders, to be that example in their family dynamic. Because I cannot even tell you the amount of moms and dads that have told me, well, he's a picky eater. He'll only eat this and he'll only eat that. And what I say is, he's only eating that because you're letting him.
Right. And permitting it. Yeah. Exactly. When someone goes hungry enough, they'll eat anything. I can promise you that.
At the end of the day, like the 7-year-old does not dictate, the contents of the kitchen.
Absolutely.
He's not the one bringing in the income, So it really is, especially in this time like that we live in. I mean, I don't know how you were raised, but like my mom, which I'm so thankful for now, like our bed was made every day. Everything was clean, organized, immaculate. There was no excuses. We couldn't just no, it had to be done. That's my approach to life in general. Get it done. Stop saying you're going to try. Trying doesn't accomplish shit. Get it done. Do it.
Yeah.
Go, follow through.
There we have it.
Yeah. And don't tell yourself, well, I'm going to give it 2 weeks and see how I feel. That's not how anything works. You can't go into a new career and say, I'm going to give it 2 weeks and see how I feel. You got to put the work in, right?
Yeah.
You got to continue to get better. You can't go to the gym for 2 weeks and expect to get a 6-pack. You have to put the work in. You have to continuously
Absolutely.
rise and So
and for those of you who are looking to put the work in, you should reach out to her. She's it's on Instagram. It's at Monica Victoria. So thank you so much for talking with us today, Monica. We're out of time, but I just want to say I really appreciate your candor and all of your information. I encourage any of you who want to get more involved in what she's had to say here or chat her up, hit her up on Instagram at Monica Victoria, or her website, I'm sure will be up and coming. It's there anyway, even if it's a little bit.
It's just getting reworked.
MonicaVictoria.com. But thank you so much for giving us your time today.
I am honored to have been a guest. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And for everyone listening, until we talk again next time, remember to eat well and always bet on yourself. Sláinte. Hi, I'm Patricia, and this is Investigating Vegan Life with Patricia Kathleen. This series features interviews and conversations I conduct with experts from food and fashion to tech and agriculture, from medicine and science to health and humanitarian arenas. Our inquiry is an effort to examine the variety of industries and lifestyle tenets in the world of vegan life. To that end, we will cover topics that have revealed themselves as common and integral when exploring veganism. The dialogue captured here is part of our ongoing effort to host transparent and honest rhetoric for those of you who, like myself, find great value in hearing the expertise and opinions of individuals who have dedicated their work and lives to their ideals. You can find information about myself and my podcast at patriciakathleen.com. Welcome to Investigating Vegan Life. Now let's start the conversation.